3 a.m., November 22, 2025. Inside the Kremlin, Vladimir Putin is sound asleep, likely dreaming of the new peace deal that forces Ukraine to surrender Crimea and ban NATO. He has absolutely no idea that just 2 miles away, concealed inside a rusty commercial shipping container parked near the freezing Moskva River, 6 pairs of Ukrainian electronic eyes have just opened. In exactly 124 seconds, the Tsar's wake-up call will arrive courtesy of 150 pounds of high explosives, proving that while politicians sign papers, physics still dictates the battlefield. Just hours ago, Moscow unleashed a swarm of 600 Shahed drones and 30 missiles into Kiev, targeting the Okhmatdyt Children's Hospital for the second time. The Kremlin thought breaking Ukraine's spirit was a simple numbers game. Big mistake, Vlad. You don't punch a Spartan in the face and expect him to negotiate. Enter the Ninja of Kiev, the AQ-400 Scythe. These drones didn't fly 466 miles from the Ukrainian border. That is exactly what the S-400 radars are looking for. Instead, utilizing a radical hibernation mode, these drones have been sleeping in downtown Moscow for a week. Their AI systems quietly learning the urban terrain like a spooky, lethal version of Google Maps. The Russian guards are currently sipping coffee, watching clear skies, completely unaware that the peace they were promised is currently hovering 40 feet above the water and it is hungry. 03:02 a.m. Moscow time. In a nondescript parking lot filled with snow-covered 18-wheelers, a rusty shipping container that hasn't moved in a week suddenly comes alive. The container's roof blows open with a pneumatic hiss. 6 AQ-400 Scythe drones shoot out into the freezing mist, not screaming like jets, but buzzing like a nest of angry mechanical hornets. Here is the genius of urban warfare. They don't climb. Climbing is suicide. Instead, they drop down, skimming just 40 feet above the icy surface of the Moskva River. They cling to the urban terrain like ninjas sprinting across rooftops. At 124 miles per hour, the city is their shield. The massive concrete buildings of downtown Moscow act as a concrete canyon, blocking the line of sight for every radar system in the district. The AI pilot, trained on millions of images of Moscow streets, is flying autonomously. It's not using GPS, which is heavily jammed here, it's navigating by sight, dodging bridge pylons and streetlights. Suddenly, Drone 3 veers sharply to avoid a late-night delivery truck crossing the Bolshoi-Moskvoretsky Bridge. The drones correct their formation, banking hard along the river bend. They are running on batteries topped off by solar panels hidden in the container's roof, a trick they learned from the Mars rovers, adapted for urban assassination. Meanwhile, atop the Kremlin walls, a Russian National Guard unit is bored out of its mind. One guard checks his watch and yawns. Quiet night, he probably thinks. The Americans are pushing for a ceasefire. The dramatic irony is delicious enough to eat. They are scanning the southern horizon for missiles from Ukraine, completely oblivious to the fact that their death warrant has been signed, sealed, and is currently speeding towards them from a parking lot just 1 mile away. 03:03 a.m. Moscow time. As the swarm banks around the Kremlin embankment, the lead drone, call-signed Alpha, deliberately flashes its thermal signature. Instantly, the beast on the roof wakes up. The Pantsir S-1, Putin's personal $15 million bodyguard, surges to life. Its 1RS-2-1E radar starts spinning frantically, sweeping a 19-mile radius. This thing is a monster, 38 tons of armor armed with 12 57E6 hypersonic missiles and dual 30mm cannons capable of shredding a tank. Then, it snaps to a decoy drone released by the swarm. The 30mm cannons unleash a short burst, obliterating a streetlight and shattering the windshield of a Mercedes parked 3 blocks away. But here's the problem. The Pantsir is designed to fight NATO Apache helicopters and cruise missiles. Against a synchronized swarm of 150-pound plywood drones buzzing at treetop level, it's like a bodybuilder trying to swat a fly while wearing handcuffs. The turret takes 4 full seconds to rotate 360 degrees. In drone warfare, 4 seconds is a lifetime. Behind it, the massive S-400 Triumph system is also scanning, its Big Bird radar searching 250 miles out. But it's looking for threats at 30,000 feet. It is completely ignoring the lethal plastic toys dancing just above the river water. Inside the command vehicle, the Russian Pantsir officer scoffs, tapping his screen. Glitch, he mutters. Kiev is 500 miles away. Nothing gets through the border. He is technically right, nothing got through the border. He just doesn't realize that the enemy isn't coming from Ukraine. They are coming from the parking lot down the street, and they cost less than the vodka stored in his locker. The swarm splits, dodging the clumsy cannon fire like ninjas, and accelerates toward the Senate Dome. 3:05 a.m. Moscow time. So, how is a $10,000 collection of plywood and fiberglass defeating an integrated air defense network designed to stop a nuclear Armageddon? It isn't magic, it is a ruthless exploitation of physics and bureaucratic stupidity. Here is the pivot point of the battle. First, let's look at the geometry. The S-400 Triumph is the pride of the Russian military export market. It can spot a fighter jet leaving an airfield in Berlin, but it suffers from a fatal limitation: the radar horizon. It is designed to look up. By flying at 40 feet, literally lower than the roof of the Bolshoi Theater, the Ukrainian drones are operating in the ground clutter, a zone of radar invisibility created by the curvature of the Earth and the density of Moscow's buildings. To the S-400, the drones are indistinguishable from a delivery truck or a flock of pigeons. Second, we have the saturation math. The Pantsir S-1's fire control computer is 1990s tech. It can track and prioritize 20 targets per second. That sounds impressive until the Ukrainian AI floods the spectrum. The 6 real drones are projecting electronic noise that generates phantom signatures. On the Russian operator's screen, he doesn't see 6 dots, he sees 300. His computer isn't fighting a war, it's having a seizure. It's a denial of service attack, but with flying explosives. Finally, there is the electronic immunity. The Russians are blasting every radio frequency known to man, trying to jam the control link. It's useless. The AQ-400s aren't listening. They are using optical navigation. Their onboard AI is looking at the Moskva River, recognizing the shape of the bridges, and comparing it to its internal map. You can jam a GPS satellite signal, but you cannot jam eyeballs. It is the ultimate asymmetric humiliation. The S-400 is like an elephant in a bathroom. Massive, powerful, and utterly helpless against the swarm of ants biting its ankles. Back in the bunker, Ghost watches the telemetry green light. Russia thinks their 2025 peace plan will save them, he mutters, his voice cold. Wrong. You don't force Kiev to surrender, you just teach us how to aim better. 3:08 a.m. Moscow time, the chess game turns into a bar fight. Ghost executes the first sacrifice. He taps a command and the lead drone, Alpha, dives straight at the Pantsir battery on the Kremlin roof, but it doesn't impact. 50 feet above the turret, it detonates. It's not a high-explosive warhead, it's a glitter bomb from hell, a payload of aluminized fiberglass chaff. Millions of tiny reflective needles explode into the air, creating a dense metallic cloud that lingers in the damp Moscow air. To the Pantsir's radar, the sky just turned into a solid wall of static. It's like throwing a bucket of paint over a security camera. The Russian gunner screams as his screen goes white. For 30 critical seconds, the Tsar's shield is blind. But the Empire strikes back. The Kremlin garrison realizes this isn't a glitch. They smash the panic button, activating the Krasuka-4 electronic warfare system. This is the nuclear option of radio warfare. The Krasuka-4 blasts a wave of broadband jamming so powerful it's designed to blind AWACS planes 186 miles away. It doesn't just jam GPS, it fries the noise floor of every frequency from UHF to Ku-band. Inside the Kiev bunker, the screens flicker red. The telemetry linked to the swarm stutters. Signal lost, the computer warns. In Moscow, Delta drone, confused by the sudden electronic tsunami, loses its horizon lock. It clips a bridge pylon and cartwheels into the freezing black water of the Moskva River. Ghost slams his fist on the desk. Damn it! Putin is awake! The swarm is drifting. They are flying blind in an electronic hurricane. This is the technology that keeps Pentagon generals up at night. The remaining drones stop trying to listen to radio signals. They stop looking for satellites. Instead, they activate a short-range laser link. Think of it as a virtual fiber optic cable connecting the drones through the air. Because they are flying in a tight formation, they can talk to each other using focused beams of light. The Krasuka-4 is screaming its lungs out in the radio spectrum, but the drones have switched to sign language. They are immune. It is the Ethernet of the sky. The swarm snaps back into formation harder and faster than before. They reacquire the target, the Senate Palace Dome. The Pantsir gunner, fighting through the chaff, finally gets a visual lock on Bravo drone using his backup thermal camera. He bypasses the radar and fires a 57 E6 hypersonic missile manually. The missile intercepts Bravo just 500 yards from the wall. The explosion rattles the windows of the gum department store, but it's a Pyrrhic victory. By killing one, he has revealed his reload cycle. The 4 remaining drones, Charlie, Echo, Foxtrot, and Tango, scatter like a shotgun blast. They break formation, coming at the Senate Dome from 4 different compass points. Inside the Kremlin command center, the Russian general is staring at the flight times on his screen with horror. "Time to target 12 seconds, he yells, his face turning purple. "That's impossible, they can't fly from Kiev in 12 seconds. His aide, pale as a sheet, finally whispers the truth that no one wanted to admit. "Sir, they aren't coming from Ukraine. They're coming from the Red Square parking lot." The realization hits him like a punch to the gut. They spent $500 million building a fortress to stop an army, and they are about to be humiliated by a few flying lawnmowers launched from their own backyard. The clown show is complete. 3:10 a.m. Moscow time, the countdown hits 47 seconds. Through the grainy green of the night vision camera, the target finally fills the screen, the Senate Palace. The bright yellow dome is glowing under the spotlights. This isn't just a building, this is the very office where Vladimir Putin planned to sign the 2025 peace accord. That piece of paper designed to strip Ukraine of its NATO future and hand over the Donbas on a silver platter. Now, 4 Ukrainian drones are about to file a formal complaint against that treaty. The Pantsir S-1 on the roof is now firing blindly in emergency automatic mode. Its dual 30mm cannons are spitting 80 rounds every second, a continuous stream of fire that sounds like a giant sheet of canvas ripping in half. But because the drones are flying so low, skimming the very rooftops of the Kremlin complex, the gunner has to depress the barrels to their absolute mechanical limit. He isn't hitting the drones. He is shredding the roof of the State Historical Museum across Red Square. It is a spectacular display of friendly fire. The swarm executes a starburst maneuver. They bank hard to the right, circling the iconic onion domes of St. Basil's Cathedral like tourists on a sightseeing trip from hell. It is a move of pure arrogance. They are literally dancing in the airspace of the most heavily defended square on Earth. Inside the Kremlin walls, discipline has evaporated. Panic is the new commander. The S-400 radar operators are screaming into their headsets that the targets are merging with the ground clutter. They can't lock on. The billion-dollar Triumph system is crying for help because its computer brain cannot distinguish a lethal warhead from a chimney stack. Guards are sprinting through the courtyards, radios blaring static and confusion. "Secure the president! Where is the president? Look up, you idiots, look up!" The Russian commander on the roof stares at the approaching lights. In this frozen moment, he realizes the sick, twisting truth. His career is over. His $15 million machine, the envy of dictators worldwide, has been defeated by something with the radar signature of a seagull and the price tag of a used Honda Civic. 5, 4, 3? The drones pitch up for the final strike. The peace plan is about to get rewritten in fire. 03:10 a.m. Moscow time. The 4 remaining AQ-400 Scythes do not decelerate. At 124 miles per hour, they slam into the yellow dome of the Kremlin Senate Palace with the kinetic violence of a freight train derailment. Inside the Kiev bunker, Ghost leans back, his heart hammering against his ribs like a trapped bird. He whispers into the mic, "Sleep tight, Vlad." This isn't Hollywood. This is a physics lesson in kinetic energy transfer. The drones don't just explode on contact, that would be amateur hour. Their hardened nose cones act like a hot knife through butter, punching through 20 feet of reinforced concrete and steel plating. Only then, exactly 3 feet inside the structure, do the magnetic field fuses trigger. 4 warheads carrying a combined payload of 308 pounds of high-grade explosives, equivalent to over 200 pounds of TNT, detonate simultaneously. The result is a contained overpressure event. A shockwave of 5,000 psi expands inside the Senate Hall. The physics are brutal. The blast wave has nowhere to go, so it pushes out. Windows shatter in a 100-foot radius. The magnificent concrete dome, a symbol of Russian imperial power, doesn't just crack, it jumps. Cracks race across the surface like a spiderweb on speed, destabilizing the entire structural integrity in milliseconds. But the kinetic blast is just the opener. 70% of the chemical energy is converted instantly into thermal heat, spiking the room temperature to 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit. The mahogany desks, the velvet curtains, and arguably the draft copies of the 2025 surrender treaty forcing Ukraine to give up Crimea, they don't just burn, they vaporize. It's like dropping a bomb on the Queen's tea party, only the clown running the show is Putin and the tea is on fire. 6 a.m. the next morning. The sun rises over Moscow, but the Senate dome is shrouded in black smoke. The damage assessment is humiliating. Reuters estimates the structural repair bill at $200 million. The dome has suffered a 40% structural collapse, but the physical damage is a rounding error compared to the political crater this just left. The 2025 peace talks are effectively dead. The narrative that Ukraine is weak, beaten, and ready to surrender Crimea to please the West has just been blown up along with the Senate roof. In Washington, the phone lines are melting down. The narrative shifts instantly. Ukraine isn't a charity case, it's a wolf that just bit the bear in its own den. The message to the Kremlin is clearer than any diplomat could write. You struck the Okhmatdyt Children's Hospital hoping to break our will. We struck your bedroom to show you we are just getting started. Vladimir Putin wakes up not to a victory parade, but to the smell of burning concrete and the shrieking of fire alarms. The illusion of his safety, protected by $1 billion of air defense, lies in ruins.